2011 census contains a lot of good news for the country. It shows that the population has reached its highest point in 150 years. It's just shy of 4.6 million people. And what's also interesting about it is it shows that we're a remarkably young country in European terms. Our age dependency rate compares very favourably with many European countries which are struggling with decreasing populations and increasing number of dependents. So the long-term predictions really for population growth are looking remarkably good. But that's against the backdrop of emigration. But the fact is that the birth rate is so high, we're about 70 to 75,000 births, that it's actually compensating for the numbers leaving by emigration, which is in the region of around 30 to 35,000 people. So against quite a gloomy backdrop, there's quite a lot of positives to be found in the census report. The growth has been focused predominantly around the commuter belt outside the major cities, but in particular Dublin. And when you drill down into the figures, you see that the commuter belt growth is in the outer fringes of the commuter belt, like Laois, North Meath, Cavan. Laois in particular has seen the most rapid growth. It was 20% growth over the period from the last census. In fact, in some areas of Laois there's actually been growth of a third, which is phenomenal growth really in population terms. So we're seeing the commuter belts particularly growing. We're seeing more people than ever living in urban areas rather than rural areas. So in general you're seeing a real shift towards Dublin. I think this raises potential issues for spatial planning and regional development, and clearly policies which have been aimed at trying to promote more balanced growth haven't really been working to date. We've learned a lot about the foreign nationals living here as well. We've seen that the proportion of foreign nationals has reached a new high. There's about 750,000 foreign-born foreign nationals living here now. We're seeing a doubling in the number of Poles, of Lithuanians and Latvians. So despite what many people thought that many of these recently arrived migrants have been leaving, in fact actually during the period, the 5-year period of the census, we've seen quite dramatic growth in these communities. We're also seeing around 500,000 people who are speaking a language other than English in their home, and you're seeing a much more mixed ethnic and national makeup now within the Irish population. The family has changed in quite interesting ways. In some ways it's quite conservative, in other ways that there's quite untraditional changes. For example, marriage is actually increasing. We're seeing much more higher numbers of people getting married, but also you're seeing a rise, but a less than anticipated rise in the number of unmarried cohabiting couples living together, and similarly with lone parents. So about 1/3 of couples nowadays are from non-traditional family units, that's unmarried. We're also seeing a rise in the number of divorced or separated people as well. So certainly it's quite complex and nuanced, but overall no major dramatic shifts in that area. The census shows us interesting figures in relation to religion as well. It shows that despite all the rapid social change, Ireland is still predominantly a very Catholic country. 84% of people are Catholics, and that's an increase of around 3 or 4%, driven mainly by Eastern Europeans coming in here. There was a lot of focus also on the no religion category, and there was much speculation in advance of the census results that this would increase because of the very many reports into the clerical sex abuse scandals, and that has increased. It's increased from around 80,000 to 270,000, so it's a big jump, but certainly proportionately it's actually quite small. And we've also seen increases in some of the minority religions too, but overall with 84% of Catholics it's still very much a Catholic state.